Hi everyone, welcome back. So as promised last week, I told you guys that I will be posting a video on how I made this delicious chocolate cake for my kids. This cake is quite a heavy cake, so if you want to use this cake to cover it up with fondant, or if you want to add some heavy decorations, you can go ahead and use this recipe because this cake can withstand the weight of the decorations. So I'll show you how I made this, so let's get started. First, you need to dissolve the cocoa powder in hot water. For this, I went ahead and boiled 2 cups of water. Measure 1 cup of cocoa powder, good quality cocoa powder, and add it to the hot water and mix till it's well dissolved. Next, you can go ahead and start making the base. Now for this, I start off by adding 2 1/4 cup of sugar. You will need around 1 cup of butter, that is about 228 grams of butter. And I went ahead and used the extra margarine, which is freely available here, which is fine too. Using a handheld electric beater or a stand mixer, go ahead and beat the sugar and the margarine together till the mixture turns pale in color and the margarine becomes a little fluffy. Next, you need to sift all the dry ingredients together. For this, I went ahead and added together 2 3/4 cups of all-purpose flour and 2 teaspoons of baking powder, 1 1/2 teaspoons of baking soda, and 1 teaspoon of salt. I used 4 eggs for this recipe, and you need about 2 tablespoons of vanilla essence. Add the eggs one by one and make sure each time the eggs that you added is well beaten before you add the next one. Don't forget to stop and scrape down the edges while you're beating the eggs so that everything is well combined. Add the dry ingredients mixture in 4 parts, alternating with the warm cocoa mixture that we had prepared at the beginning. Make sure to beat until each addition is well incorporated before adding the next one. Now to make this cake, I used a large square baking tray that comes with the oven. Using parchment paper or oil paper, line the baking pan or the baking tray, and make sure you butter the baking tray very well. Now I bake this cake at 180 degrees for about 15 to 20 minutes. Because this cake is a flat cake and it's put in a flat tray, the cake tends to bake very quickly. So keep an eye on it while it's baking. So in about 15 to 20 minutes, put a toothpick or a knife in the middle, and if it comes out clean, then it's baked and it's fine. You can go ahead and take it out and let it rest. You will notice how flat the cake is on top, which means I won't be wasting time cutting or trimming the cake, trying to make sure it's even, which is a good thing. In case the cake is not even, turn the cake upside down and leave it on a flat surface while it's hot, and keep something heavy, or keep another pan, not something heavy, rest another pan on top of the cake like this and leave it aside to cool down. For this recipe, I will be using a whipped ganache icing recipe. To start off, you boil about 500 milliliters of heavy cream. Now over here, you don't get anything particularly which says heavy cream in Sri Lankan supermarkets. So I went ahead and bought the box cartons which says whipped cream and used that for this recipe. Make sure to constantly whisk the cream while it's heating up, and while that cream is heating up, we can go ahead and prepare the rest of the ingredients for the ganache. This you need about 300 grams of good quality chocolate. You can use the dark chocolate which is freely available in most of the leading supermarkets over here in Sri Lanka. And you need about 3 tablespoons of cocoa powder, and then you can add about 1 tablespoon of butter or margarine. Add the warm cream to the chocolates and stir well till the chocolate is well combined and the chocolate has dissolved, and leave it aside to rest for about 3 to 4 hours. While the ganache was resting on the side, I went ahead and cut my chocolate cake into 4 squares, because since I baked my chocolate cake in a flat large pan, I was able to cut it into 4. But I will be using only 3 squares for this cake, which means I'll be making 3 squares with 3 layers of icing. Now this is the 4th square which I will not be using for the cake. Now I'll cut it up and show you how beautifully dense and rich this cake is, and this cake is ideal for decorating. Now the ganache has completely cooled down. Now I can go ahead and whip the cream up so that it will become fluffy. It was very hot and humid that day over here in Sri Lanka, so you will notice over here that the ganache looks quite liquid, but don't worry about it. Go ahead and layer the cake and the icing one by one, and if you cut it right now, it's gonna look like this and fall apart. So what I did was I popped the cake in the fridge and let it rest for about 1 or 2 hours, and then when I cut it after the cake was well chilled, it was slicing perfectly fine and the cake was very stable. So that's all there is for today, and I hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up and do try this recipe and let me know how it turns out. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and until next time, take care and Ayubowan from Sri Lanka.